Hello students, welcome to Btech360. We've been covering a series of colleges and universities for you who are very good in terms of the student outcomes, and these are not IITs, NITs, IIITs, but some of them in the private or the public space also, because these institutions have their own independent admission processes, and in our opinion, you can actually apply for them depending obviously on your merit score, aptitude, attitude, and the ability to pay also, right? In that context, I'm going to cover one such university which is based out of Gujarat, actually in Ahmedabad. This university actually started off in 1993 through a foundation that was created by Dr. Karsanbhai Patel, who owns the brand Nirma, which is the washing powder Nirma. He founded a foundation in 1993 which is called the Nirma Education Research Foundation. In 1994, they started the first college, which is a Nirma Institute of Technology. Then they started Nirma Institute of Management the following year. And in 2003, the government of Gujarat actually saw the good work that was being done by these particular colleges and allowed them to become a university through a special act in the state of Gujarat. So we're going to discuss Nirma University now and why you should be looking at it. And obviously, as I keep telling you, that these are options. Every student needs to have an option, and these are options that we're talking about. I'm not saying that these are better than IITs or NITs. No, we're talking of what are the other options that students must be looking for. And in that process, we're only identifying those universities which are really solid in terms of their performance, really work hard to ensure that the student outcomes happen. And in that process, we're covering this particular university, which is Nirma University, which is based in Ahmedabad. Before I move further, there are three requests I have for you. Please subscribe to Btech360. If you really think that we're helping you out, please subscribe and support us. Two, if you want me to talk to about any institution of your choice, write to us in the message box and I'll try to cover that for you. And more importantly, a lot of parents and students write to us saying they want to talk to us personally, because they don't want to obviously engage with us on social media. They don't want to put up messages about their own details on social media. So for that, we created a WhatsApp number. You can message us on the WhatsApp number. One of my counselors will call you up and we'll fix up an appointment where we'll talk together. Now let's understand what this university is all about. We're talking of Institute of Technology, Nirma University. At this point in time, we'll only talk of the B.Tech part of it, and that's the reason why we're talking of Institute of Technology, which is a part of the Nirma University, right? And we'll talk about the placement stats, the salary data, the recruiters, the job role wise performance, everything we'll talk about it at this point.
काफी स्टूडेंट्स टॉप कॉलेजेस लूज कर देते हैं गलत काउंसलिंग रीजन की वजह से, लेकिन ये मिस्टेक आप अवॉइड कर सकते हो क्योंकि इंडिया के बेस्ट जेईई और नीट काउंसलर्स आ रहे हैं आपकी सिटी में। तो यहां मिलेगा आपको एक्सपर्ट गाइडेंस कॉलेज, ब्रांच एंड एडमिशन पर, और सीट्स होने वाली है लिमिटेड, तो अभी के अभी आप जाके रजिस्टर कर सकते हो।
Now the institute, as I said, was established in 1995 as a college and then became a university in 2003. So while this is the college that was formed in 1995, in 2003 it became a part of a university, which is Nirma University. The institution is private constituent college of Nirma University. This is spread over 115 acres of land. So it's a massive piece of land, very close to the airport in Ahmedabad, and the total students is 5,385 in the undergrad 4-year program. Remember, all that we're talking about at this point in time is the B.Tech part of it, because this is a part of Btech360 and we're dealing with it from that perspective only. The total number of students is 4,093, or 76% are boys and 24% are girls. About 87% people come from the state, within the state of Gujarat, which also means that about 12% students come from outside the state of Gujarat, which is a good sign, because we're talking of about 1/8 of the students coming from outside the state. So you at least have some kind of a diversity if you want to go and apply for it beyond the state of Gujarat also. And there are 30 students which come from outside the country also, which means it's aspirational enough that people from outside India also want to come and study here. And the faculty is 551, which means the student-faculty ratio is very attractive here. Now, see, every time when I talk about this data, now we'll first of all look at the placements that are submitted to the Government of India through the Ministry of Education, because that is more authentic than any other data that you have in placement brochures or marketing brochures. So from that perspective, we actually looked at the data of that Nirma University submitted to the National Institutional Ranking Framework, which is Ministry of Education, Government of India. So to that extent, it's submitted on an affidavit, and the data is slightly more authentic than what you see in marketing brochures, as I told you, right? There, when you look at that data, in 24-25, which is the previous year, of the total number of students who graduated, which is 1,195, we actually had 1,195 students graduating and 788 students were placed. So the thing about this university is there is a large intake that happens across all branches, including core and non-core. And wherever you have core branches, you actually will see the median salary falling, because core branches are not so much in demand as compared to the non-core branches. By the way, I don't subscribe to it that in future also the same thing will continue, as you are going to join this college in 2026. And in 2030, what's the kind of situation? I don't know. At this point in time, the forecast is that a lot of BTech CSE programs and all will see some kind of a truncation in terms of the number of job offers that would be there. Of course, you are extremely skilled, you will always find a job, but the number of jobs that are being created by certain kind of non-core branches will struggle to ensure that so many people are hired, right? So anyways, coming to it, when you actually have so many students graduating, it is always difficult to place every single student, and to that extent the median salary also falls because you also have core engineering branches that are there. So 788 students were placed, right? And about 239 students also opted to move on and pursue higher studies. For me, this always is a question mark, because I do think that after BTech, people should get on to a job, and then after a couple of years of work, they must go on for higher studies. But in this particular case, in the case of Nirma, there seems to be a very unusually high number of students who are opting to move for higher studies straight away, and that is the case. And the median salary is 6 lakh rupees. Now, this will always happen when you have core engineering branches, is what I'm trying to say, and I'll show you how those numbers stack up also, right? Now, when you look at data here, 1,126 was the intake, right? 1,126 was the intake. Admitted is 1,107. Admitted is 1,107. Graduate is 1,195 because you also have lateral entry that is coming in. Placed students is 788. 239 students moved for higher studies, so the placement percentage is 82.35%. So placement percentage after you remove the higher study students, so they remove 1,195, 239 you remove from 1,195, whatever is there, from there 788 students were placed. So you're dealing with a 82.35%. Across the board, you actually see about 80% kind of a placement at Nirma University in the Institute of Technology, right? And the median salary is 6 lakh rupees, which is slightly lower. But having said that, at that scale, with so many branches that are there, it is decent. Now the next part of it, here, this is where you will understand what I am saying. Now you look at BTech Civil Engineering. The placement percentage is 80%, but the highest salary is 7.79 lakh. Now when you have 7.79 lakh as the highest salary, just imagine what the lowest salary would be, or what the median salary would be. That is where the entire median also falls. Similarly, for BTech Chemical, it's 13.5 to the highest salary, but the placement percentage is 83%. Here also the median salary will dramatically fall as I see it. CSC is 52.25 lakh is the highest salary, 96% placement. So if you look at this, you will understand the big gap that is being created. 96% placement, 80% placement. 52.25 lakh, 7.79 lakh. Higher salary, of course. The median salary here would be about 15-16 lakh rupees. But here only if you have to take only civil engineering, the median will fall down to about 5 lakh rupees in my perception. Whereas here it will be about 15 lakh rupees. And the same thing will hold true for BTech Chemical also. If you remove the highest salary, I know for a fact that chemical isn't doing too well in terms of placements. But by the way, I keep repeating that if you want to do chemical because you're interested in the domain, you're interested in learning that particular subject. But don't push yourself unless you are very clear of what you want to do. I always tell students that first find out your interest and do that. You'll always grow and you'll always prosper. But some branches have very unfavorable, placement processes as compared to a few other branches. And till last year, for sure, CSE and those kind of branches were doing very, very well, and core was struggling. But having said that, 4 years hence, what would happen is an open question at this point in time, because a lot of forecasters are saying that the jobs that are being offered to CSE and all will start struggling because you will not have so many jobs being there. And then what happens if you have to take any of those kind of branches is a big question mark, right? BTech Electrical was 17.707 lakh with the highest salary, 80% is the placement. Electronics and Communication Engineering, 85% placement, 35.56 lakh is the highest salary. Electronics and Instrumentation, to 95% placement, 14.91 lakh is the highest salary. BTech Mechanical is 95% placement and 14.91 lakh is the highest salary. In mechanical, in chemical and in civil, in my opinion, the median would be about 5 to 5.5 lakh rupees. And that is where the entire median also falls down to 6 lakh rupees, because these three core branches will start struggling, and that will bring down the entire core also. Having said that, this 80% and all those things also misses out one big data point. You remember the number of students who opted out of the placement process? You will always find that in these branches, you will have more number of students who are opting out of the placement process. So even though it's 80%, if you have a class size of 100 and only 50 participate in placement and 40 students are placed, they'll claim 80% as a placement process. So we don't have the exact numbers, but what we saw of this data in all the NITs, IITs and all is the number of students who are opting out of placement process when it comes to core engineering is much dramatically higher when compared to CSC, where no one opts out of placement process because the jobs are there. So when the jobs are there, students don't opt out. When the jobs are not there, they start moving for higher studies. That is what seems to be happening here. Now to the next thing of what is the highest salary and all those things. It's easier said than done. This, by the way, for the 24-25 season, 88.2 lakhs is the highest salary, and 400 plus companies have come for placement. Now the big thing of what are the branches that you have and what are the focus area of these things, and you can actually look at it on their website also. But they have B.Tech in civil, chemical, mechanical, electrical, electronics and instrumentation, electronics and communication, and computer science and engineering. And there you also have a focus area. So note it down. I think it's important for you to understand your branches and what is being taught within that, so that you at least have a vague idea of if you want to choose that particular branch, what will you be learning. Right. I'll not go through this and read it out for you, but please take a screenshot of that and you will be able to use that. Now, what is the admission process? This is very important for most of you. 60% of the seats are through JEE Main 2026 rank. So if you got a JEE Main rank, it is a merit. They create a merit list of all the people who apply to Nirma University for the Institute of Technology, and they create a merit list for that. And based on the JEE Main rank is what you'll get. And that is 60% of the seats. Then in Gujarat state quota, you have 25% seats, which is done through the Admission Committee for Professional Courses. ACPC is what they call it, right? This is called ACPC, right? So here you apply through the Gujarat counseling round, and 25% of the seats are coming to you based on the Gujarat CET examination through the ACPC route, right? And 15% seats are to NRIs and all, which is why you saw 30 seats foreign students coming in. They should possibly be, overseas citizens of India, or they would be NRIs, and that is 15% seats. So they obviously could not fill in, and in assuming those seats are not filled in, it possibly goes to management quota for all that I know. Now apply to the Nirma University portal plus ACPC if it's for Gujarat quota. So if it's for the 60 plus 15, you will go through the Nirma University portal. For this 25%, you'll go through the ACPC for Gujarat quota. And it's always based on JEE Main 26, as I told you, and it is merit based. And the offer type is merit list based admissions and no interview duty. So once you have a score, you are given the number and it moves on smooth. So the better the rank that you have for JEE Main, the greater the chances that you get into this particular university. Now, what are the important dates that you should be looking at? The application deadline is 18th April. So it's this Saturday. Just make sure that you apply to it as early as possible. We're right now sitting on Thursday. Please make sure that you apply it by Saturday, right? The admission process is merit list, allotments round 1 to 4 payments, and verification and all those things. So that's a process that you have, and you can again go through that entire process as you move along, right? But the application deadline is 18th April. So if you are from outside the state of Gujarat, please make sure that you apply to this. Of course, if you are to start part of Gujarat, then ACPC is the route that you will take. Now, what is the fee that you have for All India NRI NR sponsored undergrad programs? 350 non-refundable. And for the candidates who have a PET qualifying examination from a school located outside the state of Gujarat, it's 1200. So we actually have 4 Gujarat students and DO and other Nagar Halveli. It is 350 rupees, and for others it's 1200 rupees. Now this is the fee that you have here. Now this is for the 26-27 year. Now one of the reasons why this university attracts good students is because the fee is slightly moderated as compared to many other private universities in that state. And the quality of Nirma also is very, very good. So you'll actually see when I show you the cutoff from Gujarat CET, which is through the ACPC route, that some of the best students actually want to study at Nirma, because the cutoff of the ranks that you're talking about is very, very good. Now let me go through you in terms of the fee structure. The fees is about 2.75 lakh is a per annum fees, and to that extent it's all put together 2.94 lakhs in the first year. But some of them is refundable and those kind of things. But essentially, if you look at it, you're dealing with about 10.5, 11 lakh rupees being the fees, and then the hostel fee and the mess fee and all those things, which is very moderate because many of the private universities charge about 17, 18, 20 lakh rupees and even 25 lakh rupees also. These guys charge much lesser. Now, the seat matrix, this is very important for you. For CSC, Gujarat students is 15, All India seats is 36, NR sponsored is 9 in all 60. Chemical is 15 for Gujarat, 36 for All India, 9 for NRA in all 60. Civil is 30 for Gujarat through ACPC, 72 for All India, 18 for NRA sponsored, 120 overall. Computer Science Engineering 75 for through ACPC Gujarat route, 180 for All India. This is very competitive. 45 for NRA sponsored, 300 in all. Electrical engineering 30 for Gujarat, 72 for all India, 18 for NRS sponsored, in all 120. Electronics engineering and design, VLSI design and semiconductor, 15 for Gujarat, 36 for all India, 9 for NRI, NRS sponsored, and 60 all put together. ECE 45 for Gujarat, 108 for all India, 27 for NRS, in all 180. Electronics and instrumentation engineering 15 for Gujarat, 36 for all India, 9 for NRI, NRS sponsored, 60 for total intake. And mechanical 30, 72, 18, 120. In all 1080 seats is what you're dealing with. Right. Besides that, you also have integrated, program 5-year integrated program, which is 120 seats. So in all, we're dealing with 1,200 seats. Now, this is, the data that we saw on the website. It might change a bit because they would have added a few more seats. We don't know about that. But as I'm speaking now, what we have is that there are about 1,200 seats each year that are available, of which close to about 648 and another 100 seats, about 750 seats are for all India, and then for Gujarat, and then for NRIs. Now, what is the highest closing rank? I told you earlier that the best students actually prefer Nirma. So now you look at the highest closing rank that they have here. For BTech AI and machine learning, for general category, the highest closing rank of Gujarat CET was 399, which means we're talking about the toppers of the toppers. We're talking about the top 1 percentile in a certain sense, or less than 0.02 percentile also, right? 0.2 percentile rather. BTech chemical is 4,538, which is slightly easier. Civil was 8,414. CSE is 292. So if you look at now CSE and AI, unless you're in the top 1 percentile of the state of Gujarat CET, you're not likely to get the seat through the ACPC route. And that is what you're talking of. When you have those kind of numbers where the best students are preferring to get into the college, then the quality of the college moves up, and to that extent, the companies also come for placement, which is what seems to be happening here. That the better the merit, the better the student, the better the companies that come for placement. That is a story across the board. IITs get the best companies coming up for placement because they know that the best students study there, which also happens for Nirma. Of course, some of the branches are bringing down the average, the median salary, but this is where it is. For EWS, it's 445. For SC, it's 1,145. For SCBC, it's 1,075. And for ST, it is 36,504. Similarly, for chemical, it's 5,132 for EWS, 15,504 for SC. SCBC is 15,929 and 34,237 for ST. And again, I come back to computer sciences. 357 is a category for EWS, 1,418 for SC. SCBC is 909 and 25,597 for ST. Right. So that is the kind of competition we're talking of in terms of the quality of students who prefer to study at Nirma University Institute of Technology. And these are other branches. Again, if you see this particular branch, BTech ECE, 707 is the highest closing rank. For EWS, it's 837. For SCBC is 2181. So this, something like a OBC kind of a thing, but with a slight segmentation for Gujarat state, right? And 5438 for SC and 36154 for ST, right? And mechanical is 2121. So if you now, what I'm trying to say is, I'm now trying to tell you that the quality of intake of Nirma University is very, very good because the fee is moderate, and through Gujarat CET, you actually can get into them, and the best students seem to be preferring. Like 707 also is top 1 percentile of Gujarat CET. In fact, top 0.5 percentile of Gujarat CET. So that is the number that you're talking. So as I said, merit-based full tuition fee waiver also is there for them. If your CSE, branches covered, CSE and all, top merit, ACPC rank 1 to 75. If you're in the rank of 1 to 75, you will get, top merit, you actually get a merit-based full tuition fee waiver, right? And for other branches, which is chemical, civil, EC and all such things, ACPC 1 to 200 rank or JE rank 1 to 20,000. Here up to 5,500 JE rank, you will get full tuition fee waiver. And for the other branches, if you are in the top 20,000, you will get a full tuition fee waiver. This is something that you must remember. Now the next part of it, these are merit-based scholarships again. Top merit, CSE, ACPC rank 1 to 75, this I already told you. Merit cum means scholarship you have again. Department merit plus income, all India, and the category is 28, ACPC is 15. In all, the amount is 1 lakh rupees. And for open merit plus income, you have 35 scholarships, ACPC 15, and it's 50,000 rupees is the scholarship that you have. All India category you have 35, and ACPC you have 15. For Department of Merit plus Income, it is 28 for All India category and 15 for where 1,50,000 is being distributed. Now, obviously, we all look at what are the kind of companies that come for placement. There, I'll tell you something. The older the institution is, the greater the chances that you'll get placed, because no company wants to disconnect its relationship with a university where they're going to get placed, students for placement purposes. They might bring down the number, but they typically go back and recruit. The other thing that happens is because this institution has been there for the last 30 years, a lot of their alumni would be all over the place working in big companies, and now because they've been there for the last 25-30 years, they'll be also occupying senior positions. Because of that, they always come back to their university from where they studied and start recruiting. And also, the university also goes back to its own alumni to help them in recruitment. In that process, a older university or older institution has better chance of placing its students because of the relationship that they have and because of the alumni working in senior positions in different companies around the country. In that process, if you now look at it, the kind of companies that come for placement, Atlassian, Bloomberg, Deloitte, Google, Amazon, Bosch, DCM, Futures First, ARM, Cognizant, Excella, Adani Group, Euler, Crest Data Systems, Goldman Sachs, E-Infochips, Coviam, Gujarat State Petronet, A Products, CEAT, FSys, Galaxy, Hindustan Unilever, Infineon Technologies, Infocus, Intel, JSW, Jubilant, Hitachi, L&T, NXP Semiconductors, Milacron, MG Motor, Max Software, Oracle, Qualcomm, Reliance, Rapido, Saint-Gobain, Tata Group, Silicon Labs, Schneider Electric, Samsung, Tata Power, Technicolor, Torrent Power, Tata Motors, Tata Consulting Services, Texas, and so on and so forth, Zydus Life Sciences. So what happens is, because one, you're in Gujarat where there's a very good industry connect out there, and a lot of industries are there, and all these companies would also be going there because of their alumni that's gone and started working there. But some of the best and biggest companies actually go to Nirma for recruitment purposes. And that is proven by the next slide, where we start looking at where are the students who claim that they studied at Institute of Technology in Nirma University, what are they doing currently? When we looked at that data, we found 35,000 students who claim that they studied at Nirma Institute of Technology, rather Institute of Technology of Nirma University. And of the 35,119 students, and this we found on LinkedIn, right? Of this 35,119, right now in Reliance, 204 students are working. In TCS, 192 students are working. In Amazon, 179 students are working. And in Intel, 160 students are working. More importantly, at some point in time, 658 students from this 35,000, which is 2% of the students, worked at Reliance. Another 684 worked at TCS. So we're talking of 2% here, 2% here. So 2% of the students of Nirma invariably work at Reliance or TCS. Amazon is 577 and 396 for Intel. And then the big question is, okay, these are large scale recruiters. How about the big companies, the biggest companies on earth like Nvidia and Apple and Meta and Google? Do they recruit from Nirma University? Now, I've already shown you some of the data of some of the companies that are coming in. But more importantly, right now, if I look at the data, 44 students who studied at Nirma University are right now working in Meta. In Apple, 42 of the students of Nirma are working. In Amazon, 179 are working. In Netflix, 2 are working. And in Google, 122 are working. Now, this is important for you because it means that either these companies come for placement or the students are so skilled enough or learned enough that they'll find their way of getting into the best companies in the best roles, which is what this particular thing indicates. For example, 330 of the students of Nirma were working at Google at some point in time, and 577 were working in Amazon, 80 were working in Apple, and 82 were working in Meta. That's a very good report card for a 30-year-old institution. We also looked at where are they placed, where are they staying? Are they staying in India or outside of India? Because if you were teaching well, your students will find a pathway where they'll also occupy positions across the globe, or they will move out of India because the career will take them, from within the company into a global position, or outside the company into a global position in a different company also. When we look at that data of the 35,000 students that we talked of, 83% are in India, right? More importantly, 8% or 2,886 students, close to 3,000 students are in USA. So 2,886 students of Nirma University are right now in USA, people who did their B.Tech, mind you. About 1,390 of these students are in Canada. About 401 students are in UK. About 229 are in Germany. And in UAE, 202 students are there. In all, 17% of students of Nirma are world over. Now, that is a very good thing. Which means the students here are so skilled or learned that they find their way of getting into the best companies or moving out for great career options. That is what seems to be happening here, right? So what we did was we tried to cover Nirma so that we give you an perspective of what Nirma University is, what kind of placements you can expect, and what is the kind of legacy and how did the students of Nirma perform over a period of time. If you want me to cover any other institution, please write to me in the message box here and I'll be happy to cover that.